Thanks for doing that.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Come on in, grab a seat. Welcome to folks in the room and folks who are online. So we've got a couple of great speakers lined up tonight. First, I'd like to mention to all the folks, we will be having our annual social next month. So we encourage everybody to come on out for that.
Sorry.
For information, email, we'll have that at Katz's Restaurant on Westheimer this year. And that will be on the second Thursday in December. So bring family members, friends, anybody you think would be interested in chatting EVs. And so that'll be fun in December. So that will take the place of a regular meeting. So we will not be here in this building in December. We will be at Katz's on the second Thursday of the month. Okay. And a little bit earlier in time so that people can stay until the restaurant closes down. So that's in December.
Are we gonna get a room there, like off to the side? Because that place is pretty loud, pretty fast.
Well, this is their new building, and I don't know that they have a separate
They
room.
don't. We're talking about just being outside.
Yeah.
Right.
But one of the good things about their new building is that they've got solar panels on the roof. And I think you have to step back from the building a little bit to see them, but they are visible from somewhere into the parking lot or something like that.
They're covering the parking lot.
Oh, they're covering the parking lot. Oh,
So
That's on West Side.
The
Yes.
new one, it's a new one on West Ham. It's
New
like
one on
60
Westheimer.
something.
Oh, so it's not.
It's
a
not.
New building next to the old location.
No, that 616 is not the one. That's in the old one. Yeah.
It's a new address on Westheimer, and yeah, well.
It's in the yeah, it's on the Facebook and
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
under
This concept,
events.
looking on Facebook is probably the easiest way to find that new address.
Yeah, but we'll do an invite too.
Yeah, and folks will see it. Folks that are on the list. Yeah, so I was hoping that Robbie from over the Stafford area was going to get here tonight to chat with some of you guys. I thought that the Street Brothers in particular would like talking to him. He and his wife both drive EVs, and he's really big on setting up charging and things like that. So that'll be fun. And just to connect up tonight. If not, we'll connect up with another time. Yeah. So, any other announcements from folks? In January, we'll pick up here again, and February, January, we'll probably have Jim Thompson talk some more about full self-driving. Although it's neither here nor there, I've got it turned on in my car that's out in the parking lot. So I've had some positive experiences and some not so positive experiences where you have to kind of be sure that it stayed where you have traffic cones and 2 lanes merging into one that you can drive you into a cone. Things like that. Especially when it's coming up over a rise where visibility is a little bit closer. Okay. And it'll be good. Jim has been trying out the FSD self-driving for a while. So he's got even more to tell us and hope to tell us about that in January. So that'll be exciting. February, we're looking at having a representative from Octo and what you're talking about. So those are the things coming up. And so if we don't have any other announcements, let's start out with our first speaker, Gabe. And Gabe is from Volcon Powersports, and so it's really exciting to find out what's going on because we purposely changed our club name to match the national club changing from Electric Auto Association to Electric Vehicle Association because there's lots of fun vehicles coming out now electrified. So okay, if Colin, you got the PowerPoint?
No.
Or Dave's gonna do it himself? Okay.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Just let me know if you end up not being able to hear me or anything, and I'll speak up. But jumping right into it, as mentioned, my name is Gabe Villareal. I'm the vehicle development manager at Volcon Powersports. And I also have David Drakes with me. He's our two-wheel vehicle lead at Volcon Powersports. So we are a electric off-road power sports company out of Round Rock, Texas. So we'll kind of give you guys an overview of the company, what we're about, what our goals are, and then give you a little bit of a grade walk on the vehicles that we're working on. So our vision, mission, and values, I don't have to go through all these for you, but truly what we're looking for is to amplify the power sports experience for everyone. At the same time, our mission is to build industry-leading products that connect people to the outdoor experience through intentional blending of technology and design. So everything we do is well thought out, we'd like to think, as far as going green and mixing that with the outdoor power sport industry, which is something that nobody's doing right now. Who we are? We're a group of power sport enthusiasts, world-class engineers, and future-focused individuals. We like to think that we are building the most exciting outdoor electric vehicles, and our passion and enthusiasm for enjoying the great outdoors is only rivaled by our own desire to protect it. So again, something that is special about us is, other than the fact that we're EV, we're silent. So going into the woods, state parks, wherever you end up taking your regular dirt bikes, side-by-sides, we're exploring those spaces now in a silent manner, just compounding to the experience. We like to think the future has arrived. We're at a great breaking point with EV booming right now. We believe that the electric recreational vehicles are setting the new standard for outdoor work and adventure. The power that we have within our EV powertrains is unlike anything out there right now. I think it's really eye-opening for people who are used to internal combustion engines, just instant torque, the power, and the silence that you're able to experience with EVs in the outdoor realm versus your typical 2-stroke, 4-stroke noisy motors that you are used to. So what we're focusing on is work and adventure. So we're developing utility vehicles, something that you could use on your farm, and then as well as adventure vehicles, something that you could go exploring with, all while minimal noise and maximizing performance. So jumping into the fun stuff, this is our vehicle lineup. We're going to start with our two-wheel products, and I'll let David Drakes kind of talk to each of them.
Okay, so first off, excited to be speaking with you guys. I think I speak for myself and Gabe when we say, we're really excited to be presenting a lot of this product line and the hard work of our group to you guys. So starting off, we've got the Grunt. The Grunt Evo, more in particular, is the next iteration of our very popular Grunt vehicle. It's a very fun machine. I'll start off with that. Very highly capable. You'll first notice the larger, wider set tires. A lot of modern dirt bikes, you'll see the more skinnier, a little bit taller wheel set. This setup that we have on the Grunts allows you to get over a lot of wide variety of terrain, anything from loose gravel to your hard packed dirt to sand, snow. I mean, you really have a really wide contact patch, and you really feel like you're connected with the machine. We feature a 2-kilowatt battery. We've got a 25 kilowatt motor, and we're able to achieve speeds a little bit over 40 miles an hour. And depending on your riding conditions, temperature, all of those variables that play into range, you're probably looking anywhere between 35 and 40 miles, 70 if you do our double battery pack. This machine is really cool because it's so versatile. Like Gabe said, you can use them for work, whether you're at the farm or you're hunting, using it for, hauling around material around the job site. You can also use it for recreation. These things are an absolute blast to ride around the trails, to really explore and get out in the outdoors. It's a very perfect machine for that as well. Next in the lineup, we have our first e-bike offering, the Volcon Brat. This is broadens up our offering a little bit and opens us up to a wider demographic as well. This is really great for people who live in urban areas, as well as, some more of the suburban areas where you really don't want to bring a vehicle in. You're looking for something lightweight, economical to get around. This is the perfect machine for that. It features a 750 watt motor, 1200 watt max. When you unlock it, we've got multiple ride modes that allows you to really customize the bike's output to your particular needs. We're getting a top speeds over 30 miles an hour with our unlocked modes in a range around 30 miles once you're using the throttle, and you can boost that to around 70 miles plus. In our eco mode, it's very user friendly. It features pedals, so you can ride it like a typical bicycle. You have throttle operation as well as the pedal assist, so you can really make this vehicle operate to your liking. We've got 2 colorways, and we've got a lot of really cool accessories for this one. And I'll tell you guys firsthand, it's an absolute blast to ride this machine.
Yeah, and something to mention with the Brat too, when we went out to design this vehicle, it was, looking at the market currently for e-bikes today, a lot of times they're ugly. So
Yes.
when we went to designing the Brat, we wanted to make something that was maybe a little more cooler, a little more hip, and break away from the traditional e-bike look. So that's kind of where you get the bobber style bike that we designed here.
Exactly. Everywhere we go, whenever we do marketing shoots or we're taking these around town, we're turning heads left and right. This is definitely the coolest e-bike out there. You've got some really cool styling cues from the old Brat style motorcycles. It's pretty unique.
And we're totally not biased. So
yeah, there's that too. Last up, we've got our Runt. This is our smaller, brother or sister vehicle to the Grunt. It features a lot of the same accessibility, same capability, but in a much smaller package for your shorter people, people that really might want a little bit lighter vehicle or something just to tool around on in the pits. This is the perfect vehicle for that. It features a lower seat height. We do have a multi-mode feature, just like the other models as well. It's able to carry quite a large weight as well. The capacity is pretty high, and this one features a hub motor, so it's almost 100% silent. The only thing you really hear is the tires rolling on the ground. But this is a huge hit whenever we bring this out for ride events. Our prototypes are very well received, and this really opens us up again to offering a bike that's very accessible, very easy to ride. There's no clutch, there's no gears. It's pretty silent, and the range on these things are really, really good for off-road vehicles. And this is one we're definitely really proud of.
And last but not least is our Volcon Stag Trail LE. So this is a 4-wheel trail and utility vehicle, considered a side-by-side within that side-by-side world. It's a premium crossover. We focused on performance, human machine integration, and versatility. We wanted to cover as many bases as we could with our first 4-wheel vehicle. So we didn't focus on one segment within the power sports market. We kind of went for all of it. So with that, we have folding rear seats. They fold down completely flat, extending your bed, making it good for hay or 2x4s, whatever you want to stick in there. But at the same time, we have race bucket seats in the front. So if you end up not wanting to use it for the work aspect of it, you still have the performance feel when you're sitting in the front. It's got 4-wheel, or I guess I should say on-demand all-wheel drive. So you can select between 2 and 4-wheel drive. Regen braking, high clearance control arms, Fox compression adjustable dampeners, and obviously a full accessory lineup. Down to the nitty gritties, it's a 42 kilowatt battery pack and an 87 kilowatt motor. So our special thing with this vehicle is this is a GM performance partnership. So our battery pack, our motor, and most of our high voltage system for this vehicle comes directly from General Motors. That's something we're super proud of. It's a true and proven powertrain that gets, I guess hundreds of thousands of miles put on it a year in other GM platforms. So it's validated and ready to go versus some of our competitors who are working on developing their own systems. Ours is essentially a plug and play that's already proven. We're looking at a top speed of around 80 miles per hour. We have probably a little bit over 100-mile range, but we haven't quite released those numbers yet. 14-inch clearance, 14-inch travel, again, kind of falling back to the not full race spec, but also much better than the competition as far as performance goes. We're looking at about 1,500-pound payload, 2,000-pound towing. The vehicle does have different drive modes within it. There's a tow mode, there's a sport mode, there's an eco mode, all of those just completely changing the driving dynamics. Just really depending on how you want to use the machine. Again, going back to the versatility that we've designed within the vehicle. And fun fact, if you guys end up going to the Electrify Expo this weekend, we will have one of our prototypes there on display. And actually our complete lineup, all the vehicles that we've gone through today will also be there for review, but the 4-wheel is the coolest one. All right, so that is our presentation for Volcon Powersports. I guess we can open up for questions if anybody has any.
Absolutely, that is exciting, and so glad that you will be at the expo in Austin. That's the other thing that I didn't mention for folks who have time this weekend, head on over to the Electrify Expo and get to experience a lot of things. So glad to hear that you're going to be out there. Folks online, you can put questions in the chat or you can ask them live, and also for folks here in the room. Those lights like to time themselves out. Okay. So I'd like to ask a little bit about the history of the company. So how long have you been making this vehicles?
So we're actually not even 2 years old. We started about a year and a half ago, a little bit more than that maybe, but a super early company, and we hit the ground running. Our two founders came up with the idea, launched the company as quick as possible, and then started importing all of us engineers in as quickly as possible to get to market. So just for a sense of how quick we're moving, our Stag started development probably about a year ago, and we plan to launch July of 2023.
All right, very good. That's really exciting. Yeah, John, you want to grab the mic here?
I'm unable to hear you.
Oh yeah, I gotta get the mic. All right, okay, I have a few questions. First question is a comment on the crossover. You said the battery is kilowatt hours, which looks good. On the other vehicles, you said the battery is kilowatts, which I think you mean kilowatt hours with batteries. So that's just a comment. Change that.
Yeah, they're all kilowatt hours.
Oh, okay. And then on the crossover, you talked about the GM drivetrain. So that's one motor, and it has like at least one differential and transfer case to get the four-wheel drive on the road.
Yep. So it's one motor, two differentials. So we shoot a drive shaft to the front and the motors in the rear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think because the Ranger, I think they had an EV version. And I think the biggest issue was braking axles. And so y'all are still in prototype phase, from what I understand. And it's not really, I'm trying to formulate into a question, but can you tell us a little bit about your testing and how that's going with this drivetrain?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got 2 prototypes in-house, and we have our next 6 prototypes actually trickling in starting next week. The first 2 prototypes, exactly to your point, we were blowing up axles left and right. And that just comes with the nature of the instant torque that you get from the electric powertrains. So we've went through some pretty rigorous testing with our differential and axle suppliers to get hard forged parts integrated into the vehicle. We just started testing one of the prototypes that hasn't arrived to us yet, but we have a third-party company testing it, and it's so far looking very good. We do have the motor currently throttled back about 25%, and we intend to just continue to creep it up until something breaks. And then at that point, we start finding our weakest points and addressing them from there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, tell us about the charging on all of the vehicles. If you want to start with your largest vehicle first, tell us a little bit about, are you doing 220, are they all 110? What kind of charge? And then the crossover has a big battery, so tell us about the charging.
Yes, so the Stag has level 1 and level 2 charging. Future products will probably have level 3 charging once we introduce a larger battery pack that we're working on. I'll let David talk against the 2-wheel products.
Yeah, so for the I'll start with the e-bike. That one's 100 to 200 volts, so pretty much standard for that platform. Moving over to the other tool models, like looking at the Grunt, that one's going to be pretty similar. Give me 1 second. That one's also a level 1 charger as well. And moving on to our Grunt, that one's going to be level 1 as well. So the Runt pretty much mimics whatever the Grunt has for most of the specifications outside of the actual dimensions of the actual frame, wheel size, and so forth.
Then the larger battery, I think we're kind of assuming it's probably water cooled, whereas the e-bikes are not.
Can you repeat that question?
Here, yep, sorry.
Yeah, it's hard to hear that one.
I was talking about the batteries. We were talking about charging. So I guess on the larger vehicle, your battery is doing liquid cooling, especially during charging, and then your other ones are not doing liquid cooling.
That's correct. Yep. Our Stag, the 4-wheel product, is liquid cooled, and then the 2-wheel products are all air cooled.
Okay, so the crossover is basically a car.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yep. If you compare our Stag to your typical side-by-side, we're a car and they're a toy.
Yeah, but it's not street legal.
No, sir. Nope. Not street.
Yeah, because I noticed it has lights, and it goes 80 miles an hour. So,
Yeah, there's ROVA standards across the country for side-by-sides. Most of them are self-certify, but these are standards that you are supposed to meet for public trails, whether it's lighting or vehicle dimensions. There's a lot of self-certification that goes on that we have to run through to kind of check our boxes. There's no federal laws technically, but if you build it outside of the standard, people will notice and they probably won't buy your product.
that's interesting. Yeah, I guess crash testing, things like that. Y'all are currently in the prototype phase, so you've not sold any vehicles, but you're currently like doing pre-orders and stuff like that. How is that going?
Yep. So our stag, we have pre-orders open for the stag right now. It's $100 deposit, fully refundable, and we've sold out of almost our first 2 years of product.
Ooh, wow. Because I was just gonna ask, I see here in the chat that Robin is asking, it's that close to this earlier, talk about coming up in 23. What's the pricing?
Yep. So the pricing for the stag is starting at $39,999. It's about $40,000.
Okay. And so is that? More questions from folks in the room or folks online? Kevin's got a question.
So how has the state of Texas, Austin, Round Rock area been for you guys as far as setting up manufacturing and all that?
It's been good so far. We have about a 70,000 square foot facility that we do some low volume manufacturing within. We're also manufacturing some product out of Mexico currently. And then we have engineering facility in Round Rock as well, and then kind of an admin facility. So we currently have 4 facilities total, 3 in the Round Rock area and 1 in Mexico.
It sounds like more of that coordination between Texas and Mexico for building vehicles.
What's the background of the founders?
They're both EV enthusiasts, both outdoor enthusiasts. They've had their hands in all sorts of different EV startups, super passionate with the EV industry. I think, some of the stuff that they've worked on in the past has been more on-road utility type electric vehicles. I think this is kind of them getting creative and exciting and branching out a little bit.
How are the orders? So on the 2-wheel vehicles, are you selling all the models?
So
Yeah.
currently we have the Grunt that's out right now in the market, our Evo. That one will hit the market next year. We'll have in our e-bike, the Brat. That one's currently open for reservations, and that one should start opening up just around Christmas time, if not just a little bit after. So, and the Runt as well. The Runt will be introduced probably beginning of Q2 next year. So, yeah, the Grunt's doing pretty well. The e-bikes have seen a lot of interest, a lot of pre-sale reservations. So, yeah, we're excited for the outlook of next year for sure.
Good. Yeah, glad to hear about the interest. You hear from a number of electric vehicle makers that they're selling all that they can make. People in this room know how long they have to wait when they want to get a new EV model or whatever type of vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have just over 250 dealerships right now, and we're working with Canada right now and a couple other countries to expand. So it's booming right now for sure.
Good. Kevin, Patrick, don't be shy. If you want to make any comments or anything. Yeah, we've got folks with all different interests, from new vehicles that are coming out, or on the energy side, the second half of the week, we'll have Chris talk about things on the energy side. With energy, all these electric vehicles, to the way the club started was folks making their own electric vehicles that you could go out and buy engineered ones. So we covered the gamut.
Who's your dealer in Houston?
I cannot speak against our dealers. I honestly couldn't tell you. I know the closest one I guess towards the Dallas area that I've been to is Woods Cycles. Yeah, I'm honestly not familiar with all of our dealerships around here. That'd be one of our sales team questions, to be honest.
Are they online? Are they on your website or something like that?
Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah. So if you go onto our website, there's a dealer locator, and you can just type in your address and it will take you to the closest dealer. Most of our dealers stock our Grunt. That's the larger two-wheel vehicle. So if you wanted to check it out in person, that would be a great place to start. Or as I mentioned, electrify this weekend, or you can always shoot us an email and come check us out in person down in Round Rock.
Right up there in Round Rock, great. Good. So anybody else online, questions? In the chat. Well, that's great, and you guys are certainly welcome to join in on any of our meetings by Zoom like this, or if you're traveling through Houston on the second Thursday of the month, chat with folks here in person. If you should happen to bring one of your vehicles to the parking lot outside, I think you'd get a lot of interest from in person as well. So, yeah, we had a great time when Emma did a project on her Honda EV, and so we do that kind of thing too. So, if you want to carry the one that you bring, or just bring one to show, however it works out, we're happy to excite our folks by seeing hardware too.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate that. I think we do have a couple employees that are out of Houston, so maybe I'll try and get some of them to bring some product by one of these days.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay. So if there aren't any other questions, I'll say thanks to you guys, and we can hang in here for the rest of the meeting and hear Chris and hear our members talk and things like that. But you got it all, I understand. So it's up to you. But this is really exciting to see, a young company bringing such exciting products to market.
In Texas.
In Texas, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what more can we ask? It's not coming from far away, but in Texas, Very
Yeah, I
good.
appreciate it. I appreciate you guys inviting us. It was super fun to present to you all. When we come up with new products, or we're able to share some more information about, a dozen more products we're working on, we'll gladly come back on and keep sharing what we've got cooking.
Sounds good. Yeah, we've got folks in the room shaking their heads. Yes. So that is good to hear. Okay, thanks you guys. Okay, Chris, would you like to come on up over here? And so we've got your computer and my computer, and I know you run the demo. Yep. So whether it's easier to run the fixed part of the slides from mine, or if you want to run it all from yours. I'll just actually. Okay. Okay. Yeah. This is just go to zoom.com. Okay. Yeah. All right. So. So I can introduce you. So Chris, thank you so much for coming out here. And like I said, you can come lots of times. Yeah. This is great to have you presenting, talking about your company, Break Smart, which is an energy tech company looking to bring to market the technology for residential customers to match their energy usage to times when the grid is greener and receive cheaper pricing for doing so. Our algorithms will optimize your devices, thermostats, EVs, energy monitors, to use energy when the grid is greenest and cheapest. I like that. Chris has worked in power trading and energy for over 10 years. He is now combining his market knowledge and love of technology to build a revolutionary retail energy product to bring the cheapest and greenest energy to residential customers. So, all right. All right. Thank you. Appreciate the introduction. So, as Dave said, my company is called Break Smart, but we're actually marketing under a brand called Truclean Power. Company's focused on the Texas market to start with, but has plans to expand. And we have a completely new way of buying energy. I'm sure most people in this room are used to the current process. Every year or so, 2 years, depending on how long your contract is, you sign up for a fixed rate plan and just pay the same price for everything. So, well, we don't think that's a very good way of actually buying power. There might be a little bit of feedback. We check their speaker. Is that better?
Yeah, bring the mic in closer.
Is that better?
Yeah, that.
All right, I'll just speak right up to the mic and it should be okay. Hopefully it's not going to be too loud now. Sorry. Okay. So as I was saying, most people are buying energy for fixed rate units they use. Now, we have a big problem in this marketplace in the fact that we've been told that we can buy 100% green energy. Well, unfortunately, 100% green energy doesn't exist. The people who are selling these plans are basically doing what's called an offset. So they're taking power from my house and then assigning it to you when you use the power during the day. And obviously, that is not really good. Sorry.
I wonder if it's somebody online that's.
Can't view everyone online because Chris's computer counts.
This one's muted.
So anyway, to me, see if this is. You guys do. That's one. It's still getting. I'm still.
That's not feedback, what you just heard. That's something else. Yeah, not much you can do about that. It's live. I mean, but somebody's complaining about feedback.
Yeah, I can hear it. I can hear it. Let's, I guess we'll just.
That's a smash. That is not feedback.
No, yeah. Should we just?
Why not?
I've got it, I muted it.
Swap mics.
Oh, that's maybe the problem.
System up. I think that sounds good. Okay, so as I was saying, everyone is currently sold 100% green energy. 100% green energy doesn't exist. The grid has to run thermal fossil fuels on it. Until we get mass deployment of batteries and renewables, there's no way to run systems out of it. So
That's
on the system. So
yeah. Closer to the mic.
it would be interesting to hear what people kind of think about this. So this is what I'm assuming people assume when they buy 100% green energy. You've got green electrons, and somehow if I sign up for a 100% green plan, then that energy is going to just my house and not my neighbor's house. Whereas obviously the renewable mix on the grid, any point in time, is going to be the same for everybody on that grid. So if you look at these charts, the bottom chart is showing the reality. At any point in time, I have renewable energy going into the grid, I have fossil energy going into the grid, and then I'm getting some mix of that. And that's going to vary depending on how much energy is available. If there's a lot available, there could be up to 70% of the energy coming from renewable sources. If there is, the wind isn't blowing, the sun isn't shining, that could be as low as 5%.
Why is your can you, it's mute yours. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
There we go. We got it figured out.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Maybe.
So as I said, so you've got this energy mix going on at time. So it basically depends how much renewable energy is in the grid at time. And as I said, when you're buying 100% green, basically what's happening is the energy companies are taking credits that have been produced at night and then offsetting it against energy that have been using during the day. So if you don't have that time match, it's almost really kind of pointless. So the reality is that if people want to be green, you need to be using green energy when it's available on the grid. And that's exactly what my company wants to do. And we want to make greener energy cheaper. So if there's more green energy on the grid, then basically the price will be charged will be a lot cheaper. There's another problem with this, the whole concept of this 100% green is companies are just buying or credits, as I said, and they use those to say, hey, this is a green resource that actually wasn't sending energy directly to your house, just putting it onto the grid anyway. And the reality is the way that energy is being deployed is not because of renewable energy credits. They provide some small incentive to consumers, but it's not significant. If you actually look at the breakdown, we've had, I think these figures from 2021, there's been $66 billion deployed to renewable energy. And for that, 21 billion of subsidies to be provided. So that's a massive amount of subsidies to get everything built. And that's coming from local production tax credits and investment tax credits, which are separate from the renewable energy credits that companies apply. So the bottom line is renewable energy can get built because of the subsidies that governments are putting elsewhere. So if we don't need to buy renewable energy credit solution, well, we need to first off track renewable energy. how much renewable energy. And then it's obviously not reasonable to expect people to just go and turn their dishwashers on out. You know, at the times when renewable energy is available, we need to use technology to make decisions for people and automate usage of devices. So that's what I want to come to talk to you about today. So I'm actually going to flip over and go through our app and show you how it works.
Yeah, it could be his, but it's muted.
Yeah, I'm muting, so
Not him.
I've now unmuted myself. Is that better?
I don't hear the feedback now.
Okay, yeah. I think it still exists. I think it's still there. So unmuting myself didn't seem, yeah, putting my sound back on didn't seem to make too much difference. So this is the Truclean Power app. And as I said, what we try and do is we basically charge a different price depending on how much renewable energy is on the grid. And if I go down the bottom here, I can show you what that would look like at this point in time. So if 50 to 100% of energy at that point in time is coming from renewable sources, and the price would be 2.5 cents. And then the price increases all the way down to less than 10%, then it would go to 10 cents. So obviously, if you guys are thinking about the contracts that you're probably signed up for at the moment, these rates when renewable energy is available are massively cheaper. And the reason that we're able to offer that is that's how wholesale energy actually prices. If there's a lot of renewable energy on the grid, then power is cheap at that point in time. So we're basically aligning the fact, the way the wholesale market works, along with the green product that we're trying to launch. And as I said, it's just great that the economics and the green aspects can line up like this. So if I just go up to the top here, we can actually see what the price would be at this point in time. So if we go back down here, so we've got 18.7% of energy is coming from renewable sources at this point in time. So you go down here, and that's basically 6 cents from the chart that you've got down here. And this price is changing every 15 minutes. Yeah, that's how I had it originally.
Is that any better? Let's try it. Let's try it. I don't think it's better.
That laptop or not, that's where the sound is coming from, isn't it? Turn your speaker off. That's what it is. It's the speaker.
All right, is that better? So far, it's better. So there we go. I think we solved the problem. So apologies about that. So as I was saying, the price basically varies below the current price. We then have a price chart of what's going to happen during the day. So basically, you can see early in the morning, prices were really cheap, 2.5 cents down there, and they increased during the day. And then they peaked here about 7 or 8 p.m. And that's basically because the solar energy would be the sun goes in. And then as the wind picks up, you can then see the average pricing during the day, and as I said, you've got the reminder of the current pricing. So does everybody understand that? Does everybody understand the concept? 15-minute pricing is basically based on the percentage, and then the price is variable. So the renewable is actually cheaper than the ground power. And the renewable power is a lot cheaper than the ground power. Exactly. So, as I said, giving you the incentive. The other point that I just like to make on this is, we've made the product about reliability as well. So there's obviously a reliability here in problem that came about most pronounced during winter storm period. So what we've actually done is, as well as build a renewable pricing, we've built in the reliability layer. So if ERCOT sends out conservation warning, we actually increase our pricing as well to try and discourage usage. So you can see that and ERCOT's only got 70 warnings when the grid is basically at the point of collapse. So our pricing will increase here, as you can see, so we get conservation warning. Now, you really don't need to worry about that. I mean, that only happens probably certainly less than 1%, probably less than 0.5% of the time, or less than that. So it's not really significant.
And doesn't that really apply to bigger users? Because my individual house, if I turned off some usage, isn't really going to affect the grid as much as the factory down the street that uses 1,000 times what my
Right.
house does. So one alert to me versus one alert to them, they could really have a bigger impact than I could.
Yeah, as you as an individual, but if you think about the grid, how many of you are compared to factories, right?
Yeah. But
And
how many folks are going to see it and actually have the opportunity to do something? I'm away from my house. I don't have remote control, say, of my thermostat.
So that's basically where we come to the smart devices. And we're gonna get there eventually. But yeah, you're exactly right there. So as I said at the beginning, you don't really want to put the onus on the user to change their usage when it's happening automatically through technology. So whether it's an EV, a smart thermostat, using data from energy monitors, there's various devices that you integrate into to be able to do this. So this is just giving you some. The other thing that we actually do is current information and forecast capacity. So obviously, since you're one other thing that people are worried about is, well, when's the grid next going to fail? So you can actually see that here. So you can see how much capacity is forecasted today. Put here, look at what's going to happen tomorrow. You can see actually there's an hour here where there might be a problem. So it gives you a warning of where there may be issues. And then going forward, you've obviously got the cold coming through here in the next few days. So that means the power demand goes down. So you can see the capacity actually increases. So there's going to be no problems for the next few days. And then this is all the data on the actual renewable energy. So we talked about the renewable percentage, but you want people to actually understand how that works. Give you access to the data. So you can see the demand, how much demand there is on the systems that peak here at 50 gigawatts a day. And this is what the wind profile looks like. And this is generally what the wind profile looks like. It would be much stronger than evening hours drop down. And then you can look here, you can look solar, and obviously that's almost like the opposite. It's going to basically pick up as the sun comes up and then peak in the middle of the day and then go down as the sun sets. And you can see that actual renewable percentage. You can see it drops, and you can see how this is basically an inverse overnight pricing. That's the inverse of the pricing. So the pricing is peaking there, and we can actually show the renewables here, so you can see that inverse relationship. So today's a great example of where it really matters to make actually choose what you use energy. So you had 54% energy coming from renewables in these early hours, and then as the sun went down this evening, it went down to as low as 15%. So if you can shift your usage, and obviously with this particular group, your EV charging to those hours, then you can make a real difference in terms of how much renewable energy you're actually consuming. Usage. So another problem we were thinking about and trying to explain this to people is, well, how can I see how well I'm doing in terms of usage? So we're lucky in the fact here in Texas, the grid provider actually tells us what an average customer looks like. So we basically pick up that average customer data on a daily basis and then show you your usage against it. So if you look here, this average customer had a price of 3 cents, we had a price of 3 cents. So we're basically matching what the average customer is doing in this particular day. But I would imagine that if you come down here, we actually change this to the month instead of just looking at that particular day. So you can see here, if I look at this data again, so my usage was actually, my renewable usage here was 40% on average compared to 35.3. So my price was actually, just the way the pricing works out, my pricing was actually a lot lower. So it was, you can see here that it was 3.4 cents versus 5.2 cents. And then this chart, you actually see the difference in it. So you can see, okay, this is the average user. You can see these bars that are showing the percentage. So see how this user's usage is following the bar. So it's basically following how much renewable energy is on the grid in that particular day. And then this average customer just kind of traveling along. So, and then this just gives you details about that particular period. So sometimes the renewable percentage isn't going to change as much, so there won't be much more to say. But there will be days where it does vary a lot. So that's when we can make some savings. Let me quickly run through billing, and then we'll get to the really exciting stuff that you guys really want to look at. I'm not sure what it's but this is basically showing the bills. We break down the bills. You can see the energy cost and the TSP cost, which is the cost for delivery. So basically, it's causing the pulse wires here in Houston and companies to the center point. Although I said, you know, you don't need to buy reps. Make stuff centering. We actually do offer that to customers. We still, if you want to support green energy, you have to make a separate financial contribution. We want to allow you to do that. So we make it optional. We can make the product 100% green for everybody. So with this particular example customer, we've added that rep cost in as well. And go down here, you can see we have a chart use. And actually pay monthly bill look like, then let's show you that. So, I don't really want to spend too much time on that. So we've gone through the, as I said, boring stuff. This is where I really want to try and get you some sort of with you guys in the group. So we, as I said, we built various integrations. So you can see this customer has EVA thermostat, and has really, this wouldn't be a realistic setup. It's got 2 energy monitors, so it has an Emporia and Sense. So these are devices that basically measure the usage in real time. And then this is the one that everybody in the room would be interested in, the Tesla integration. And this is actually what we evolved the best. We've just been finished developing this within the last week. So this is the test vehicle that I very hopefully getting access to. So this is pulling information from this Model 3 Tesla. So just pulling through the battery level, current range, see whether it's charging or not. So the charge is connected. Whether the charging is switched on. And the way that I've set up the charging, I've tried to make it as simple as possible. I was trying to avoid having too many settings. So basically, the way you set it up is you say, hey, what time do I want my car charged by? So generally, most people can't put it at night, but in the morning, they'll go off to work, etc. And that's when they want it to be ready. So I've got it set for 7:25 a.m. And then when I initially set this up, I actually said, well, hey, let's just set the charge percentage. So let's say, hey, I want it to set to 70%. And then the algorithm is basically going to look at how much renewable energy is forecast to be on the grid. And it will basically optimize its charge in the hours where the renewable percentage is the highest. But actually talking to various friends and colleagues, they said to me, well, actually, you know what? There's a better way of doing this. Why don't you have a minimum and a maximum? Oh, now we've lost lights. Somebody wait.
The timer.
It's on a timer. It's green.
Yeah.
It's green, it's energy saving.
Yeah,
exactly. So we actually changed the setup and just being able to set one charge level percentage to the minimum max. So the algorithm, now what the algorithm does is set the idea of the minimum max is, you know, I need my car to be maybe 65% charged based on what I do the next day. But if it happens to be a super green during the day, there's a lot of wind, a lot of sun available, then why don't we charge it to 90%? So the algorithm will then charge in this range, and if it has extra time and renewable energy on the grid, then it's going to actually charge it to that full 90%. And then you can see it's got your estimated range based on charge. I'm sure that's enough. And then, so this pop-up will actually show when a charge is active. So as I said, you just enable the settings down here. And by the way, you can disable this at any point. So if you don't mind it, just click the box and that will basically disable it as well. So now you can see it's offline. It's charge mode. So it's a charge. But if the and I'll be honest, I've set this up for the demo, so this isn't actually charging. What I've done is I've set it so that it shows different types of charge events. So every time it's trying to charge the car, this little box, active charge details, will show up. So it says charge type insufficient. So what does that mean? That basically means, hey, you plug the car in, and even if I take the available time, then I don't have enough time to get to the charge level. And it will tell you, you can see that down here. So charge time remaining, I've got 1 hour and 5 minutes, but I require 2 hours and 36 minutes. So I've got a problem. So if I can actually refresh this and send it back to the different charge schedule. So it's there we go. So charge type green. So basically what this is saying is, here you can see I've got 8 hours of time remaining, and only require 4 hours of charge. The expected charge renewal percentage is 45%. So that's actually pretty high, given the amount of renewable energy we've got deployed at this point in time. And then it gives you the cost and the price that you expect to charge. So, I mean, this is pretty much what I wanted to show you. I mean, if anyone has any feedback at this point, particularly around charging, really curious.
So you mentioned about 45% being high. Some of our members have photovoltaics, and of course that, you know, if 100% provided that their house is drawing too much at the same time. Because I've often said that to people, that my AC's on, I don't want to be charging the car because that's going to cause me to draw on the grid. So I just charge at night when I know wind power on the grid. I will try to match my PV system is small. Some other people have systems that are more than 100% of their house. So that's total usage of their house. It's not instantaneous usage. So you know, if they see running, still might not want to charge. So is that something that you take into account?
Yeah, and actually, Dave, that's a great point. So I would like to talk about that. So what we plan to do with rooftop PV is we're going to do that a little differently. I think most plans at the moment, they basically, I think that buy it one and sell that for a different way. The way we're proposing to do it is we keep this pricing for any industry take off the grid. But then what we'll do for the PV is we'll actually sell it back to you at full sale. So, and honestly, the reason for doing that is just that I think that's the value. Also, market determines the value at that point. If it so happens that there's problems in the grid and the producer power, then they pay a lot up to the price cap, which is $5 a kilowatt. So that's a kilowatt hour. So that's pretty significant. And going back to your question about tying it to the actual output, so we have not built an integration to basically do that at this point. To be completely honest with you, it's like everything else.
You're on.
There's the 80-20 rule, right? You can solve 80% of the problem, 20% of the effort. Hence, for example, on the EVs, why did we go with Tesla? There's no Teslas and any other to start with. But the idea is that as the product develops, as the market develops, as more and more EV goes out there, then we will be looking to integrate the systems and then build that into those optimization algorithms. But at this point in time, that's not been built into it. Okay, no, it's good that you're gonna cover it in the future, and I guess right now, maybe Kevin or somebody else knows the number of people that are net metered versus people on newer plans where we're talking about getting paid just wholesale, so the avoiding costs, things like that, has gotten much more complex than it used to be. I think it used to be just, you could get a net meter plan and that, but it's simple, you know, in and out. Let's go to some questions, folks in the room here.
So how does the staff know all of your setting financial? How does it know the bill and all this?
Just like you would with any other retail provider. So when you sign up, the retail provider gets access to your smart meter and then pull the data there. So that's basically what the app is doing. It's pulling the data. And then financial information, you're talking about credit card information.
Yeah. So you're a retail electricity provider. I totally missed that.
Okay.
I was like, let's see.
Sorry.
So the price point of what I'm seeing in this app seems really good. That's why I was like, wait a minute, what is happening here? Because I think I'm currently paying, like 16 cents. I just got to pay like 16 cents. That's still 16 cents.
Right. So I just want to clear this up because this is where in general the market kind of gets.
Yeah.
So this is the energy charge. This is for the commodity, the electrons that are being delivered to your house. On top of that, you also have the poles and wires charges, transmission distribution system charges from the center point. So the all-in rate will include that as well. So that's about the variable part now is about 4.5 cents per memory, roughly. So if you want to look at that all-in rate compared to your 16-cent rate, then you basically have to add that 4.5 cents. So it makes it higher, but obviously 4.5 cents plus 2.5 cents at that particular point is still a lot cheaper than the 16-cent rate.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us in here were customers free. And then Ted Cruz was like, oh no, can't do that anymore after the freeze. And this model looks it's very similar, which they said you can't do this.
Absolutely, you can't. And this is not wholesale. So I can, and I mentioned wholesale on the buybacks. You can't sell energy to customers at wholesale rate. You can buy it back. So that's obviously completely fine. Then we go to a point when you're actually the energy going off the grid, the price for charging. This is more like a smarter time of use, right? So you have the time of use products where you get free nights, etc. And what we've done is we said, well, actually, free nights is not a very good way to dissect it and try and charge different pricing and incentivize customers. So I call this, instead of time of use, renewable use. So we're creating these bands just the same way you would with the time of use product. But yes, it's basically, if you want to think about it in terms of what it's like compared to gritty, it's almost like gritty without the extremes. We're not going to give you the extreme low wholesale price. You can see it's only going to 2.5 cents. There's no negative numbers in it. But we're also not giving you the extreme high price. And quite honestly, the key piece to this business model is trying to set the pricing so that people actually react, right? So we're more interested in getting the pricing right. And we're going to, this product isn't in the marketplace. We're going to have to play around and look at how best to set the price. But this is an example of something that we run the numbers, and at this point in time, it certainly would work. But we're looking for the high prices to really incentivize people to reduce usage. And it works for everybody. You reduce the usage. If you're going to sit there and just pay the high price, then it's not going to work for anybody because we're going to be facing higher wholesale costs. You want customers who want to try and keep their car, customers that are using a lot of power, the grid struggling. That's really, you're not really doing a lot for the grid. So yeah, it's kind of like gritty, but the extreme terrorists kind of thing.
Yeah, we're still love it. I mean, I love to accept that it would go to $9. What was the top? And that's what killed it.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I actually went to
Yeah,
the legislature and went to some of the meetings there. And I told, you know, the biggest problem really was the way it was sold to customers. Customers didn't understand what they were actually exposed to. A lot of customers, they never advertised, hey, you know, your price is going to $9 and that was nowhere in the market material to be seen, because that would have scared people away. And, you know, for a lot of customers, it probably wasn't the right product. And, you know, to be clear with you, I'm actually still on wholesale. So I signed up with Octopus Energy. They still offer a wholesale product, and they actually allowed you to be grandfathered in. So I've signed a 5-year contract before the law change. So I'm actually still on wholesale. And I just, if the price spikes, I just go off grid. So during the summer, I just went off grid during the price spike. So I averaged 7 cents for my energy during July. But if you priced an actual profile of a customer, it would probably be more like 60, 70 cents.
So you have solar and batteries?
No, that's just off basically generator. Solar gas generator.
So, you guys are gonna offer, I guess, are you gonna call it net metering, where you're gonna buy excess solar production for customers?
We're going to buy back the power we've got to rid of the wholesale price. So so it's not really net metering, and I kind of don't. In Texas, I don't really like that because the way it works, the power you produce, you basically get charged. The energy you use and fill off the grid, you're paying an energy charge, and then you're paying a transmission distribution charge. But the energy you're putting back, you're just getting paid the rate for the energy. So net metering to me, and certainly in other places in the country, is where you actually basically get credit for those poles and wires costs as well. You don't get that here in Texas. The market is set up like that. It would be great if it was. And actually, it's kind of interesting that it's set up that way, because it means that when you set up a PV system, the value of the energy you use is not just the commodity cost. It's the fact that you didn't have to pull it down the poles and wires, you're not paying those costs. So the value of energy you use is actually higher than the energy you put to the grid, because you're not getting that benefit of poles and wires, so you're just putting energy back into the grid. So when people are thinking about sizing PV systems, that's the best way to try and size the system.
Right, we used to have net metering, and then they stopped those plans.
So when you say net metering, I think you're talking about just the energy charge being the same, right? For the energy you're using from the grid and the energy that.
Yeah, there were plans where they would pay you the electricity plus the delivery. So whatever, let's say your plan was 12 cents a kilowatt hour for the energy was 8 and delivery was 4. They would pay you back 12. But then, after the freeze, it all went away because the delivery charges went up. They put that fixed delivery charge fee on there, and then a whole bunch of players left the market, and you know this, and so then they have gone to capped plans where they cap your buyback. So now they're not paying for the delivery, they're just paying for the electricity. And they cap it at your consumption. Well, if you're a solar producer, some of your consumption is hidden behind your solar production. So, you have a very low consumption. So your buyback is capped, and so it's even more. Right. So when do you guys estimate getting online? What do you think?
So I think it's probably in March, April time next year. Okay.
And
Just a comment. Before, I think you came in, I mentioned in February, we have the Octo Energy guy come to present. So I particularly want to come to that meeting.
No, that's good. So rendering and maybe March 2023. And the product is going to be called True Green Energy. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So I can actually, let me just show you our website quickly, please. There's a video of that. So this is our website here at Truclean Power.
So it's truecleanpower.com.
Yes.
Okay.
So another point I wanted to make is that we're not the only ones who are thinking in this way about, hey, I've got to match my usage to where renewable energy is going. Some of your favorite products are thinking about that now as well. So I don't know if anyone's seen the iPhone charging. So you can now set your iPhone to charge when there's renewable energy in the grid.
Oh. Yeah, don't turn it off.
I went too far. Sorry.
Yeah, so as I said, you've got iPhone chargers, and then Nest has actually rolled out something similar with their Nest thermostats. We also do the integration. The other thing that we do over them is we have this reliability piece built into it as well. But you know, the way that I described the grid earlier, they actually made a really cool video. So I'm just going to see if I can play that for you guys now. So this is your energy. This is the green brown energy coming in. I will put my sound off so you can't hear it.
You turn it right there, attention.
I'll just put it back on. I just don't know if it's going to break some kind of weird. Might do it.
You're getting it on.
It's coming from this. The problem is renewable energy from gas and oil, solar and wind farms, which varies throughout the day.
So, sorry. Save this now. So what do you guys think? Is this something that you would be wanting to sign up for? I mean, I see this group of individuals as, you know, forward thinking of this line of thinking. You guys all have a big, massive energy usage, electric usage that you need. So it seems to me that, you know, optimizing the grid is going to be a right anyway. So,
Kind of based on your strategy for when the price goes high and, you know, the times, because that's been, so, you know, with the solar system, I'm familiar with trying to, and I've got a metering system, so I can kind of watch and see what I find how off the grid it's going to be. And so you get into that period where it's early afternoon or evening, and this is when the price is going up. It's also when you need to see to cool the house. What is your strategy? I mean, you said gas in it, but you have other strategies for homes at home. Because at some point, like with my solar, I've got to either buy one from my family. And when things start getting hot, because I'm turning the AC up, to buy and build it up.
I'm just kind of curious how that part went.
So yeah, I think there's a few pieces there. So first off, I run my house off the natural gas generator, not gasoline. There's no gasoline involved. Super not good. And then the piece about solar and needing energy in the evening. So part of the integrations that we do with the smart thermostats is it does what's called pre-cooling. So it's going to look at that pricing. It's going to say, hey, the solar is dropping off on the grid. Pricing is going higher. We're actually going to, at this point in time, before that's happened, the pricing is still cheap. We're going to run the AC system harder then, and basically drive it down. And the way the EOC smart thermostat integration is going to work, you basically set the comfort level, high level and a low level. You can set it for kind of different times of the day. Because I think that's, you know, kind of did our research on this. We found most people use this. They might have a kind of setting they want during the day and they're either not by. Or some people seem to like putting it lower at night so they can sleep better. So people have different preferences. So you basically have a morning and evening setting, and you can set a minimum level and a maximum level. And then our algorithms will basically keep it within that range. So as we see that, then we can talk about sun going down, pricing going higher, we will actually run the AC harder, drop the temperature for that event, and then we'll rise up to that next temperature. And it will just sit at the max until, and as I said, you control that. So the more bandwidth you give us, the more we can optimize, the more we can save and use more.
That's smart, but it's pretty cool. So you asked, do I want to use as much renewable energy as possible and save money at the same time?
Yes.
Also,
And you see how this product incentivizes you to do that.
yeah, that's why I love Gritty. I was really sad to see it go because for someone who knows what they bought, I was using it and actually being a good steward of energy. And everyone who knew what they were doing was doing that because we weren't those nut people that were running their heater during freeze, you know, trying to keep their house 80 to 78 degrees. When they complain, they got a $10,000 bill. But what are you doing?
Well, as I said, I think part of the problem was that a lot of people didn't understand what they'd signed up for, right? They just saw this cheap price that their friend showed them the week before and didn't realize the risks that they could have exposed themselves to. And as I said, I mean, to be honest, it wasn't marketed like that. I mean, we want to be very clear with customers, and this is why we've set our bands like this. It's not so the price can be whatever the wholesale market can be, and that can be anything between, it will actually go from negative $250 a megawatt, so it's negative 25 cents a kilowatt hour to $5 a kilowatt hour. So that's the range that wholesale market goes. And obviously, we created this narrower band, so that can't happen. You can still, I mean, if the next winter storm comes, I mean, I want to be clear about this. The pricing will be high, and we're trying to incentivize you to reduce usage of that. But it's not going to give you a $10,000 bill.
Yeah, I bought a Nest specifically so I could control it, and really wasn't there on integration, so I would have to, you know, that would get like an alert on my phone, and I have to go in manually, turn my thermostat down or off. And so it's interesting to see, because I know that Google has changed their models, and they made it actually harder to integrate from what I understood. And so y'all already got the integration going. I think it's pretty cool.
So yeah, so we've got that going, and it's kind of interesting you mentioned that. So so Google, the way that you're allowed to interact with the thermostat is, I don't know how many times it's changed over the past 3 or 4 years since they, Google bought Nest. Nest had its system in place, which you can use, and it's actually nice and easy. And then Google came in and said, hey, we want to basically control it ourselves. The name of privacy, they said, hey, we're not going to let third parties come in. And now they've kind of gone back and said that there's probably pushback from customers, which likes of EVA and Honeywell were still allowing customers to do that. And they said, no, we want this third party integration. So it's kind of moved back again. So it's interesting how that's going to work out.
Yeah, that's really great. Are y'all looking at doing contracts for this? Like, you know, one, two, or three contracts like that?
So the answer to that is yes, but again, it's probably down the line. To start with, it would just be kind of like a variable rate product. You get that pricing structure that I showed you. But yes, we plan to basically give you a similar structure like that, but it would apply for a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I'm just trying to relate. I already have the thing we were talking about, but $800 to be part of it.
Yeah, so we're not interested in doing that membership fee. And the reason they did that, because their model was, they were literally, this is what it costs for us to buy it from the market. We're not going out and hedging, buying forward power, etc., which is the activities the other retailers do to basically mitigate their risk. They were literally saying, we're buying it from Opera at this price, and then we're going to sell it to you. So doing that, they're making zero profit. So the money they made came only from that fee. I mean, and they marketed that, and that was certainly very true. Whereas we're basically building it into our pricing, just like any other retailer.
Other questions in the room, or I can't see the chat, so if there's folks online.
No.
I feel like I may have missed it, but are you guys planning to launch only in Texas, or are you launching all over the US?
So again, that would be in the roadmap initially. Just in Texas.
I guess it's the roadmap is after that.
I'll be my focus now is solely on Texas, and that's really at the back of my mind. To be quite honest. There's a lot of stuff to look through, figure out to actually get it. You know, it's like everything else. If you prove yourself successful to start with, then it's going to create more opportunities to move to the next level.
Yeah, Texas is already a big market.
And the other comment I would make on that is Texas has a lot of renewable energy. It actually makes a lot more sense to do that. You've got more renewable energy in Texas than any other state. And when you look at the percentage of power coming from renewable sources, it's basically higher here than anywhere else. We're just lucky to have all of that in Texas. And, you know, there's a lot of days of sunshine around out West Texas as well. So we're just blessed with resources.
You talked about more about the charger integration, what that might look like, and what's involved in your side.
So how you would actually do the integration? So it's really simple. Basically, you would you just go in, you provide your Tesla user account information. So you use the password. And at this point, I'll be real clear on this. We do not store it. We take it, and then when we authenticate to the Tesla, they give us an access token that will enable us to control the device. We only store that information. It's like very well encrypted as well. So we're very focused on the security aspect of it. And you basically do that once. If there's you really shouldn't have to do anything after that point. That integration should say that if for some reason it loses connection or whatever else, you can basically go and connect to it. It's a process to do that.
Are you looking at chargers, these ones, or any other Wi-Fi chargers?
No, not at this point. As I said, you know, we're starting off, and this is not the final position, right? We're going for the low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit is integrated with Tesla to start with. But I would love to honestly hear your opinions about where we should go next. What is the next big target to hit? Because obviously one of the things with EVs is there's a lot of new companies, like you said, etc. You know, they look like they have great products, but there's not a lot of them. So it's hard to this company to kind of justify building stuff at this point. Whereas Tesla has cars on the road already.
Yeah, that's based on car brand, because they're mentioned juice box, and somebody could have any brand. They have to choose juice box.
Yeah.
Yeah, the difference with juice box, some of their products is the Wi-Fi connection, the Wi-Fi connection, so you know, of course you have to have some kind of connection.
Right. And I'm sure that would be, that should be possible to do. So, and you know, I'll put my hands up and say, when we looked at this, we just, you know, everyone thinks Tesla, right? So I think that's probably the first one. No, this is great feedback for me. You guys should go check out Juicebox. They're one of the bigger Wi-Fi chargers out there. So
Yeah,
no, I
I think
appreciate
juice box and Clipper Creek is really. As far as PV, I know John has got probably PV connections from his PV at home, thoughts to your tool.
Well, as long as there's a local way to monitor, you're monitoring the input, you know, it's just your spider or whatever that's fit into the house instead of setting up the house. I would want it to use everything in my house first, and then it's just not one to one anymore. All the plans have changed. It's very upsetting. But I haven't had to pay the bill in almost 10 years. And now I'm paying a bill. So I said, right. And the only way to do it is to get 3 or 4 more kilowatts. What? To give away? So if there's a one-to-one plan that you can think of, it makes sense for me. But the users that have PV, that's the way to go. Everybody in the market that has PV is going to apply just for that.
So I'm actually curious then. How many of you guys actually put your hand up if you have a PV and a
More than half. It's always the question, which you have first, either the PV, then the PV, or the PV. The statistics show that the second follows whichever order they are for quite a few people. So those that didn't raise their hand as having vote now are probably in the next step.
But I mean, it's a great time. I mean, the Inflation Reduction Act effectively incentives in place for solar, basically. So it's
Right, for many years without that stuff that we're looking at. And so, yes, exactly. But as John said, there's a lot of problems now with the way they rejiggered things with the plans. And of course, the legacy power producers have a big influence, I think, on state controllers, whether it be Public Utility Commission or ERCOT or wherever, they probably everywhere. They injected their thoughts when they had an awful lot of gas-fired power plants that failed during Uri. So the one thought that came to my mind, you were showing about predictions, which is good. I mean, we can predict now pretty well when the wind is going to die down during certain periods, certain hours of the 24-hour day. But of course, what happened during Uri was a whole lot of unexpected power going offline. The ERCOT was counting on X amount, and they got half of X amount, and they weren't prepared for a situation. They're always prepared for one power plant here and one there to go offline. That's the normal situation. But to have so many unavailable, what put us in a totally new paradigm.
Do you mind if I interrupt just to go back to the point that it's being made about the PV and the plans? So, you know, while we're getting launched, we're going to try and interact with people before we actually launch. So we actually just created a blog. This is what I was working on earlier today. So we have this article here. Should I use an electricity shopping service like Powerbiz? And I just want to show you this. And the point is, if it's valuable to you guys, I can go away and do something similar for your solar panels. But it basically goes through, basically says, well, yeah, you know, energy, are you guys familiar with energy Yoga, the shopping services.
Yes.
Okay. So, they do a good job of finding the cheap plans, but if you know what you're doing, it's actually very easy to do it yourself. The Public Utility Commission has a website for Power to Choose that's basically unbiased. Every retailer wants to put their plans on there because there's a lot of consumers using them. And that really is the best way to find the cheapest plan. So, I mean, we've done this with more of a focus just on general line electricity. So we happen to do another one more solar focus. But it just shows you, hey, this is how you set it up, this is how you do comparisons. You want to generally look at year long, 2 year or 3 years, and get away from some of the games that people try and play with. I'm going to stop the contract before the summer, because they do that because the power price in the summer is a lot higher, so you try and review it higher. So it tells you how to avoid all those problems. Explains the technicalities of the EFL, which is basically the terms of the contract, what to look for, where they try and make things, etc. So I just wanted to point that out. So apologies for
That's worthwhile. That's worthwhile for.
I will do it for PV. If you guys need it, I'm going to do it for PV.
It doesn't have buyback on that page. You actually have to go out to a different website. Solar buyback platelets. And our to choose only shows 3 plants right now that do solar buyback.
Right. Yeah. It's and it's definitely not here.
Yeah, I just think I played because I knew it was going. So, because I had to use prior. So I has a $100 cancellation. I'm just waiting for something better to pop up so I can sit down.
That's actually part of the strategy here. So when during this time when prices have been high, part of your strategy should be look at the termination fee. And if you can find one with a low termination fee, then if prices have to fall in the next year, then you just pay that termination fee and go somewhere else and save more.
Yeah, I have reviews and I will also look into this one too. But I wanted to mention if you've heard of the website IFTTT, the if then that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that's a good low hanging fruit for you to integrate with, because then you can integrate with other products and use that as a million possibly for integrating with things.
So it's interesting you mentioned that. I presume you probably actually use that with Grid, right? So,
I started because that was like the only option.
Right. So I would say at the moment we're looking to integrate directly. Just because I think the average user, that's kind of easier. They're used to going to their Tesla account and it produces something else. But I agree with you as well, the fact that it allows you to do a lot more. So you can start setting up custom triggers and things like that to make it customized a lot more. So I see the value in that. Again, I would love to make that part of the road.
I also have a other. That's also something, whole automation that. But there's now.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like you can get to the point where almost like give some kind of instructions to build stuff, and then have like parents who have their kids to do something with building some kind of electronic device they interact with something, write some code. I think that'd be a really cool project to just put out, which is kind of thing. I think that's the kind of thing that you like, right?
Yeah, you are at TXRX.
Yeah.
So we talked about integrating with devices and another, I guess, home devices, a big part of people who own pools. And so are you guys thinking about integration with some of those,
Yes.
pool systems that have, that can be controlled?
So, yes, to be honest, pool pump in terms of being able to control control it, and the effect that it has on, your life and your well-being during that event. It doesn't make any difference to you, right? If I have to turn it off during a peak summer day, like it's something I think about every day, like when I have problems on the grid, and it's like, I know there's probably 500,000 pool pumps just going to slurring away, and if they stop, does that really affect anybody? Probably not, right? The problem with pool pumps is, in terms of devices, I would say that the majority are backwards, and I've looked at this. There's very few Wi-Fi ones, and if they're Wi-Fi, they're kind of in a closed system, it's hard to get access to it. And there's not one massive manufacturer you can tie into. So it's unfortunate because it would actually be best. That and water heaters are devices you can interact with where there's very little impact on the consumer's life by control. If you know someone in a pool company, I would love to speak to them and say, hey, build a Wi-Fi integration into it. Because most people, again, I know there's some systems out there, but most people I know certainly they don't have Wi-Fi app. It's just all still a manual. So,
The one I have is Pantera, it's
Teleflow.
Flow or something like that, yeah. And, I still set, I try to set the pump at times, like in the evening. But during the summer months where if you don't run the pump enough, then you get algae outflow and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were a way to.
Yeah, for now, I'd say just try and run it overnight. That's the best way to. I 100% agree. I would love for that. We've looked, as I said, we've looked into it, and it's not as easy as like the smart thermostats. The smart thermostats are built like this. Unfortunately, at this point in time, we can't build one.
So, things online, anybody else questions? So, yeah, it sounds like you really have to enhance school, because as this John said, I didn't realize until you said it in the middle that you're actually talking about building your own rep, electric providers. I thought this was more like,
my focus is on the technology.
yeah, Fred Andrews, he's worked on something similar to the Wizard. Yeah, so he's doing things to help people.
Texas Power Guy is Fred Andrews.
Fred Andrews is a Texas Power Guy, yeah. And you'll be able to catch this recording, to catch all these things and things. And Colin will put it on our YouTube site after.
Right, and quite honestly, this is really one of the first public forums we've had where we've done about what we're doing. So I'm sure I'm probably gonna get lots of questions.
You've got to start somewhere, and yeah, we've got some ideas here tonight from folks of what things to consider. Yeah, we understand that choosing, one particular EV manufacturer to start with, to work on things after you get that well established and so forth. But, yeah, it's interesting to think what you can put into the rep, as was already mentioned. A lot of the reps disappeared.
What about in Europe? Do they have a provider that takes in the solar credits? And if you're at a charging station away from your house, you can use those credits at that charging station.
Okay. Do you know who that is? I don't think. No, it's interesting. I'm going to go look it up. I'm always
Absolutely.
interested in seeing what else is going on.
Yeah, I think
around the world.
not nearly often enough people don't look at what's going on in other countries instead they just look at what's going on within the 50 states and they think about, just a lot of the same things that we use around the world and found different solutions.
As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm not from Texas. I'm from East Texas, also known as London. So I spent the first 5-6 years of my career in the energy markets in Europe. So
I believe Octopus Energy also started in the UK. It's there and now in the US. So yeah, absolutely.
So I actually just had one final question. you guys. So I showed you the way that we're thinking about doing the safety. Is that the way that everyone in the room thinks makes the most sense, or would you do it? I was just saying, I showed you how our EV integration works, and I was just wondering, you know, just feedback for us. Is that how you guys would do it, or would you change it in a particular way? So just as a reminder, we've got like this mid-level, max level, and then we set a charge by time, and then it's just going to optimize it like that. Are there any other parameters or anything else?
So the way I think it'll end up going is you can, the charger is low hanging fruit. That's a big appliance to turn on. You do the handshake that they do the car right now, they need to charge it or not. And so the bigger, more complicated integration would be where they have like an override button. I plug my car in, and I need to go someplace 30 minutes, I need fast charge. Go ahead and charge it. Or so have some kind of device or something on your phone.
Well, so the way you would do that on the phone is you just say, hey, if I need to be somewhere in 30 minutes, you just set it to 30 minutes. And honestly, it sounds like in that situation, you're just going to want it to charge 100%. So there's not really much to optimize there, right?
Well, so like I'm coming home and I go on charge, real quick, and go back out. So I'm just going to be able to somehow quickly tell them to charge.
So we can actually, so what we would do, I can actually show you this.
Yeah, you have a button for.
Yeah, so I didn't actually click on the button, but I can show you. So if you want, you would just go into the app and do it. Like this. So you go down here, charge by time, hey, I can just click.
Disable it, so it just starts charging.
Well, so you can just disable it completely and then just do it, you know, how you would usually do it if you want to do that at any point. So I'm just doing this, and sorry, it's really cumbersome on the keyboard to do this. Well, just like touch it. But say I'm for like 2 hours time, I'm just change it. Obviously, yeah, and then it's going to do the same thing. And obviously, hopefully, it's got enough time to charge to the level.
The other thing that I see coming is where you'll be able to control the charges on the cars by acting the bell. So a lot of cars have charge rates, and solar in particular, if you want to try to keep it under this, under that threshold. The devices that are available now will cut the car off completely. It's a more sophisticated one. Speed you can go and drop it down speeds that work on another speed, drop another charge rate. I think in the future they'll have chargers that have more awesome charge rate. Well, we were talking about that actually. I think in the previous meeting, how we were trying to, you had EV to get your car to cut back on charging so it stay under zero match.
That's a really cool idea.
So it goes both ways, basically charge.
Yeah, so depending, yeah, and if you get some cloud coming overhead, then it just basically ramps down. Then cloud disappears and ramps back up.
Yeah, from what he was, how he was saying what he was thinking, I was wondering what your thoughts would be on like adding like a quick charge, like because I think like how you have to set up the school for like if you're trying to have a schedule or so, do this at a certain amount of time, but like you just have a button that's like next charge, like hard to do that. I keep my schedule the way it is. I don't know. I don't know. I was stating very fun charge.
So max charge button is a feature.
Yeah, do whatever you want with that tool.
actually had some kind of similar along those lines, but related to your thermostat example. Let's say, you know, you have a setting from day to day, weekday versus weekend, but let's say you are hosting a party and you want to make sure that the temperature, you know, gets to something comfortable. Like, I don't know, I guess it might be kind of, I might be in a kind of more unusual situation where I'm comfortable at higher temperatures, but when I have guests over, I have to turn down the thermostat and I want to make sure that it's down quickly. So, and during the time that I'm hosting that party. Maybe
So I think,
yeah, I guess.
so really what you want is to create an event. So you say between these hours, I want to go outside my schedule.
Right.
So we could.
So I suppose, yeah,
Yeah. So the way you would do it at the moment, you would just go into your app and
Right.
make that adjustment.
we'd have to
What you're,
manually.
what you're,
set.
what you're saying is, I want to be able to do, I want to think about this like a week before, put it in the schedule, and then it just happens, right? Okay. Yep. So, that should- yeah, that's great feedback.
I'm gonna say, if you have one right now,
Yeah, so this is it right here, so you just say, this, you know, control enable.
That's not another one you could ask. 15 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, so you don't.
Right. Yeah, so you want some kind of switch to automatically make the adjustment back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's reassuring to
So-
schedule.
Right.
So I just sort of like, something happens, like, okay, or you know, or now. Or things.
That makes sense as well. These are great ideas.
So, the Teslas, you know, you do L1, L2, and you can actually throttle down the amount of amps down to 5 amps. So you can actually do, you know, anything from 500 watts all the way up to 7.2 kilowatts. And so if there's an interaction, you could start off with the Tesla, but like they said, other cars, and I think that the EVSEs will come with those kind of options where you could set those loads to mirror renewable energy production. And that would be something that we could really match. I've been actually manually doing that, and I have been not staying under my solar production, but I wound up buying a 3-month fixed rate, no buyback plan. So I'm trying to use all of my solar up when I can. So I'm running as many loads as I can during the day to hide them under the solar. And so we do that with our Tesla, but the problem is we don't drive it enough to do that every day.
Right.
Or if you drive the car during the day and it's away from the house, you can't do it.
Yeah, one of those interesting things about hiding under solar, I don't know if you're aware, but in Arizona, they have super off-peak rates during the winter months from November through April, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., so right in the middle of the day. The electricity price falls to like 1/3 of its normal price because there's so much solar on the grid. They want people to be doing it, but Kevin's doing it for his own personal EV, but this is grid-wide in Arizona. And it's way cheaper. The time of use rate is during the summer, during the daytime, is 29 cents a kilowatt hour. The super peak in the winter is 3 cents a kilowatt hour. And just look at that ratio of the power companies.
So in the conversation with juice box, when it comes to that point, you may be prepared to educate them. It's been 5 years since I'm online, and when it came in, the Wi-Fi didn't work, so I can send it back. So there's a little bit of going back and forth, and they're like, oh, I'm so happy to take interest in our product. So I thought for it, I'm like, oh. But
they're still, this is a feature that we probably put in, maybe a feature that we probably should have.
And so they have an app that they have.
There's an ATM. They're an ATM maker, so they got 8, 16, 20. One thing, about the solar is, the solar nut curve is solvable with batteries. I can show you how to do that after that. It makes sense. Once the batteries come down, you can flatten out that whole curve.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know if you guys are aware, but there is a massive utility scale solar company on finding some in Texas. So we're gonna, Texas, we're gonna get duck over or Hawaii or any of these places where there's mass. And that's just gonna come from utility stuff, and also getting more and more. We've got as well, so that's just. Yeah, there's a lot of changes coming. I also belong to the Houston Renewable Energy Group, and we had a speaker several months back. They brought in a real estate lawyer to talk to a renewable energy. This is unusual. He talked about the hottest properties are next to substations. People want to buy a couple of acres next to a substation so they can put batteries in because they know that EV is coming on and they can arbitrage the electricity. They start to look piece of property, substation. So all these different things coming around. Yeah, I mean, that's a big part that honestly quite often gets overlooked. Is if you go and look at the way that solar panels going in on the utility scale here in Texas, it's probably being done by the engineers who found the location of the sun. Unfortunately, in some of those cases, there wasn't very good grid connection. So they had these weak lines trying to put the solar power on. And these are lines that historically they're in rural areas. They weren't meant to carry too much power. So they kind of they struggle with their pricing. Okay. Anybody have any other comments to wrap up with? We've reached the end of our time. And there's lots more. I would say I did actually bring a whole lot of devices to the app, so if people want to play around with it, they can do that. Okay. Well, everyone's welcome to stay this late. I don't have to swan here tonight, but they can stay this late if they want till last person out to turn off the lights. But thanks so much, Chris. I think this is really good. Yeah, I'd like to apologize for the first part. That was difficult. That was this is really easy going group here. I think so. All right, and as I said, please come to more meetings, and maybe you want to come to the HREG meetings and such as well. So, all right, so if we want to stop the
End it.
end the recording.
Say bye.
Yep. Bye bye.